Hello. So I have noticed a few problems with the die macro here, which we did in the last video or maybe the one before it. So one thing is that I found documentation that fputc might have actually set errno, and that means that once we check errno down here, errno is just past here, then it may actually be changed if fputc returned an error. That's kind of a long shot, but it's still a possibility. Another problem is that strerror, and this strerror is used in a few places in the code. This strerror is potentially well, it's not thread safe. So if and I have thought of a few reasons I might want to use threads, and so I want to solve this strerror problem, and not just put it off till the moment when I actually implement the threads. Because actually, I probably will add the threads a little bit later. The reason why I want to add an extra thread is because I want to process the expected test output to remove binary characters, or at least change them so that they can be used with diff and merge tools. So for example, if we look at input test.c for impossible code, so here we're printing out keyboards, and I did a trick to make every single instance of the keyboard take the same number of bytes. That way it would be faster to like rewrite it, and because I would just rewrite it in place. And so that means that for this case here, actually for any case that has like these dash dash, I believe these dash dash lines, there are null characters there to oh no, actually I believe it happens when you actually have the key the kanji characters printed. So the empty keyboard does not have any null bytes, but down here when we write a key, if the number of so the thing is, these lines will take a more than will have more than one byte for terminal cell, or terminal character. So this is like two terminal characters, but it's actually more than 2 bytes. For example, this is what I'm highlighting right here. And so when we write a kanji there, which takes 3 bytes, I believe that there's going to be like an extra byte that we don't need, and so I put a null character there, and so this actually makes the test hard to use with diff and merge, and so I don't want to actually do that for expected test output. I want to change it. Also, I'll probably add colorization support later, and if and I'm not sure how merge works with like ANSI escape sequences and how get diff works with it, but I'm assuming that they actually don't. But whether or not if they don't, then I can also I also want to process the test output so that it shows them in a testable form, or it shows the colors in a testable form. In other words, it will just show them as plain ASCII, some kind of like ASCII language, which indicates what color is there. And anyway, so that's why I plan on adding threads. And so strerror is not thread safe. It apparently uses in some platforms it uses thread local. It does not use thread local storage. It uses some kind of global buffer to store the error string. And so we're going to fix both of these problems. We're going to actually, we might continue to use strerror. Actually, I think we'll avoid using strerror completely. We're going to use perror, which prints a system error message, and it basically takes whatever errno it equals, and then it prints out the value to standard error. And I think that it's probably fine to always print it out to standard error. I don't really see why we would want to print it out anywhere else, since we're not actually going to be testing we're not going to be testing system errors. That's just a little too ridiculous. So we will, so yeah, let's see here. Also, I don't like the fact that die has all this inline code. I want to put it in a function because this just seems, honestly, making such a long macro when it's not necessary it seems sloppy to me. The only reason a macro is needed is for file inline. So we'll change die to just call a actual implementation function and pass file inline to that function. So let's see how we want to do this. Now, one other alternative is to is maybe have have the die macro print out file inline itself, and then the function itself die doesn't even care about file inline. So maybe we can do that. I think I kind of like that. We're also going to change it so that, yes, we're not going to use strerror anymore. I already said that. So let's see, we're going to have a die. And because perror always uses errno, the variable, I'm not even going to bother passing error number. I'm just going to pass a flag, which is like int, you know, show error, and that will just be 0 or 1, indicating whether or not we want to show error number. And then the rest is the formatted string, or the format string and format arguments. And what this will do is we'll say fprint. So fprintf does not set errno, which is kind of interesting. So I looked in the POSIX documentation. I looked in like man pages for Linux and Mac OS, and as far as they're concerned, fprintf does not seem to affect errno. But POSIX documentation says that fputc might change errno, and so we have to avoid that before we actually read errno. Okay, so fprintf standard error, and we're going to say at file number, file name, and line number. Then we'll do \n and maybe \t file line. Okay, and then we're going to do well, I don't think I like I don't want to have die the I don't want to have the die implementation actually have to deal with the errno. What am I trying to say? I don't want to have the die implementation function actually have to assume that there's some kind of indentation on the next line. I would like to indent the error string. But right now, I actually had another thought. Is it actually discouraged to use fprintf before reading strerror? Maybe this is like not good practice, and maybe there's actually platforms where it doesn't work, and people have already actually researched this or tried it, and it doesn't, and it never seemed, and maybe it's like dangerous. So maybe we'll do a little search here. We'll do like fprintf change errno. Okay, here's a question. Might not read the man page. Okay, we did, but we're trying to confirm. If you're on Linux, have a look at explain fprintf. Used to obtain explanation of an error returned by the fprintf system call. The least the message obtained is the value of strerror. No, but usually it will do much better and indicate the underlying cause in more detail. Setting errno by fprintf is not specified by the C standard. Some compilers do create code that sets errno to the value of range to indicate out of range or other values. Okay. The fprintf function returns the number of characters admitted. So this is not really clear. So I don't know if it's safe to do fprintf and then perror error detail message here. Because I'm not sure if fprintf is going to set errno or not. So maybe what we should do is an alternative here is to just say I'll only use strerror in this one spot and guard it with a mutex. But then again, if we do that, it seems hard to imagine that die is going to that this is going to like if we're in a situation where we're dying, I'm not sure if I want to mess around with mutexes or anything really more complicated than necessary. So perhaps we really do need to use strerror. This seems like the best approach, right? Because then we have errno, we pass it explicitly, so that means we can save it somewhere. And the problem with errno though is that you don't really know the size of the buffer that you need, which is unfortunate. Uh, I don't think it returns it. Returns a pointer, maybe a 0, buffer length string. You also need to normally tell by server. Yeah, I don't think that there's a way to figure out ahead of time or figure out at all how long the message should be. So maybe how many bytes does strerror need? What size? Okay. Program. Max length. Characters. So with some leeway, 64 to 100. Okay. So they're assuming that 49 is enough. Or they're assuming that there's no dynamically generated errors in this code. Negotiation. We're not returning structs. It's weird that strerror is even allowed to be thread unsafe. Yeah, that's a good point. I thought it was annoying, and I don't really see any particular reason to do that. Those return strings should be pointers to string literals. Yes. Or you can use a standard version and pull it with successful large buffers. So go where you need something like the code below. So the thing is, I may want to have this work on Mac OS and Windows eventually. So I don't really want to use GNU specific strerror. So yeah. Let's see here. So did these two only differ by the return value and type? Voider, this may be turns the error string in the user supplied buffer buff or length bufflen. If the function stores a string in buff, then at most bufflen bytes are stored. Okay, so this means that if we use the GNU specific strerror, then we may not even we may not get we may not actually have anything written to buff at all. So that's problematic. So that means that we'll have to actually check. Okay, we'll have to check whether or not we're using GNU or not. And so now we're back to where I was before, wanting to use p-error instead. Man, p-error. No. Now, of course, I guess we could just set errno ourselves. Yeah, I think I do want to use p-error, because this is just, I don't want to have to deal with anything really complicated here. The only drawback is that it won't necessarily be totally, it won't be all that well formatted, as well as it could be. Let's see, delete this. All right. Oh, we don't have to. So p-error uses this string as a prefix of like a kind of a preamble to the error, and it automatically adds a colon at the end. So error p-error. So we can do, let's see here, die, and we'll send, we'll say whether or not we want to do the show error, and then file and line, and then the formatting stuff. Okay, file line formatting stuff. So now we can do a void die, and we want to do int show error and char const file and line. What is the right type to use for line? I guess size t is good. What type to use for line? Numerical constant. So if it's guaranteed not to be negative, then I can use size t. So int not to be as little as is not big enough. Int max. So either be int, or if int max is not big enough, then it will be long int. Bigger than long max, and you have undefined behavior. Yeah. Okay. Decimal constant. So if it's a decimal constant, then I guess long int would make sense. So let's do long line, and so then we have char const format and then varargs. Let's just show errno here. Call it that. And we don't need this. Show errno and file line format. Okay. Then we have to, I want to specify that this, let's cut this out. And util.c, and after xf read, I guess we have a die. Okay, and void die. Let me resize my windows. Okay. Sure, no. Okay. If show errno, then we do this. Char const preamble equals, because we're going to repeat this. We're going to repeat this string. So preamble. Otherwise, we do fprintf error. And okay. Next, and then we gotta say where it is, where it happened. Fprintf error. This happened at file and line. So a tab to indent it, and it will be file line. And then we have to do, we have to actually pass this down to fprintf. Strerror. Okay, then exit. Let's add that first before we forget. And oh, I didn't do this right. This has to be underscore va args. printf exit. Now we just have to delegate to the other, here. This is how we delegate. Delegate and pass the vargs down. So we have fprintf and strp. What is strp? Oh, format. All right, just trying to make the names consistent. This has to go up the top. And fprintf format. Okay, but that's probably supposed to be vfprintf, right? And vfprintf. Okay. Yes. Okay, should be fine now. Die if show error, then error. Okay. Show error, no. Die. P error. Oh, how did I get this extra junk at the end? Okay. Now, does that build? Oh, it actually builds and passes the tests already. Now, I also want to say that it doesn't return. I think there's a way to say that something doesn't return. Like no... C. Specify a function doesn't return. This is not going to have it. Function without return type, void type, non-value returning. Exit. Let's look for the definition of exit. Here we go. Oh, no, that might not be it. Extern C void exit, glibc no return. Glibc cxx no return. Throw no return. Oh, here, attribute no return. Oops. Okay. I'm guessing that's not even portable, or that's only going to work on like GCC or something. Die. It's a attribute no return. It's in C++11. Function attributes no return, returns twice. Maybe I should just leave it as it is. Is there a way to use GCC attribute no return and no return sanely in a single translation unit? Oh, I guess I want this. There's an attribute that does essentially the same job, and different attribute can appear before or after function declarator. No return. Okay, so there's apparently a way to. There's this no return thing, no return keyword. About underscore no return keyword. No return. Okay. Let's try this. Standard no return. Do I have to do that for the definition as well as the declaration? Not totally clear on that. Void. Let's try turn. All right. I'm guessing that the underscore capital N is for standard C, but the other one is for is for uh, is for C++. Okay. That did not work. I didn't have a semicolon, is that why? Okay, good. So now we want to make sure we're not using strerror any at all. Edit util.c strerror. We're using it there, there. Okay. Okay. So there's at least two places we have to use it. Error. So we could just say that we're cleaning up. We'll put this in a separate commit and say we're cleaning up die so that it works better. Edit util.h die. There. Getting rid of the trailing space. Okay. So p error preamble. So what if we tried to do, let's go to main.c and let's just pretend that we have an error, like, say errno equals e interrupted, and then do die 1 comma oops 42 undeclared. Die. This declaration of function die. util.h and /new sort interrupted system call at main. Okay, that looks good. And there's no new line. There's no new line at the end of the user message, so we gotta look at die. Die, alright. So we do an f put c, standard error. util.h, and put this comment about how we can't use so we can't use xf printf and xf put c inside of die because that may cause something that may cause die again, and so we could get into a recursion loop, infinite recursion. So let's try again. Okay, good. All right, so we fixed die. We fixed die, and we need to undo the changes to main.c. Git grep strerror, but we probably didn't get rid of all the uses of strerror. What about errno? Git grep errno. So, oh, we have die here. We need to change these to pass 1 instead of errno. And we probably just want to avoid all kind of naked uses of errno, or like raw uses of errno outside of die itself. So let's do let's change in util.c die errno. All right, so we're gonna do s. Of course, we could just set errno ourselves. I mean, that just seems a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the right thing to do is. I mean, why set errno ourselves here when the caller can set errno if they really wanted to? And why would the caller ever want to set errno anyway? It's just a system error, so I don't know if we should be defining our own errnos here. But we can say that if you ever pass like a certain key value to die, then it uses... No, never mind. The user can always set their own errno value anyway. So I don't think we have to worry about this. So let's go ahead and edit die. But rather than use a binary flag, maybe we can just make this into two separate functions. Show errno. We can make it p die and die. And then, yeah, but then the macro is going to get more complex, or there's going to be more than one macro. I don't know if I like that very much. Okay, so yeah, I don't think I want to over engineer this. So let's do git grep grep die. Okay. Oh, let me refresh this. Okay, I was busy for a day or so, so I wasn't able to finish this yet, but now I'm back. Now we just want to finish our die refactoring, and so I'm going to look for all usages of die where I pass well, I'll look for all usages of die first. Let's do that. Okay, so we're only passing 0 or errno, it looks like. So anytime we're passing errno, we're going to pass 1 because errno is kind of hard-coded. It's a hard-coded check after we call it, and it's just going to be, rather than pass errno itself, we're just going to pass 1 or 0. So let's go ahead and get the file names of all these matches. F1, right? Okay. Sort. All right, now we have all the file names, so we're going to pass them to sed, and I means change in place, and we're going to change die errno to die 1. Let's see how that worked. Okay, looks like that worked. Okay. Now if we do git grep again for die, we should see that we're only passing 1 or 0 for all of them. Alright. Let's make this and make sure that the tests still pass. Okay, good. Now I think we make a new commit, right? So what we did this time was relatively simple. We just to summarize what happened, we changed usages of die so that we don't pass 0 or errno. We just pass 0 or 1. 1 meaning check errno. And in util.h we change the definition of die to simply call the function so that we don't have to put a whole lot of logic inside of the macro. And the function is implemented such that we don't use any potentially thread unsafe functions like strerror. I could have changed it to use strerror_r, which would have been thread safe, but p_error is just easier to use, and so I just went with that. And there were other reasons too, but I'm not going to repeat them now because I don't remember exactly what they all were. Anyway, so if we look at the diff, you see that we just change errno to 1, and inside of the die implementation we just call p_error, and p_error knows to check errno. And yeah, that's then we try and call the user's fprintf logic or formatter and data. So that reminds me, we do want to change this so that the compiler knows that we're using a printf style format string. So I'm gonna pull that from over here, and 2 and 3 indicate the argument index counting from 1. So we want to specify the argument index of format and dot 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 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So this is 4 and this is 5. Now let's go ahead and make that and make sure everything works. And yeah, it does. So I'm going to commit this, and I'll be uploading it to GitHub as soon as I translate all the commits to Japanese and such, commit messages. So anyway, that's all for today, and thank you for watching.